The observation station floated silently in the dark space above the blue planet. Inside the metal walls, Taemin stared at the screens with 4 eyes that blinked independently. His gray skin reflected the cold light of the monitors. He had been watching this newly discovered world for 3 months now, and every day brought new confusion. The Galactic Council had strict rules. When a new species was found, they must be observed first. No contact, no interference. Just watching and learning. Taemin's job was to understand these creatures called humans before the Council decided what to do with them. His species, the Valorics, had been part of the galactic community for 2,000 years. They knew how the universe worked. Predators killed, prey ran. The weak died so the strong could survive. This was the way of all intelligent life in the galaxy. Every species followed these rules because logic demanded it, but these humans kept breaking the rules. Taemin touched the control panel with his long fingers. The screen showed a mountainous region on the planet below. The humans called it Korea. Green forests covered the slopes. A small building sat near a stream. The sign on the building had symbols that the translation system read as Wildlife Reserve Station. A human male walked out of the building. The database identified him as Hyunwoo, age 32, occupation listed as field medic and wildlife veterinarian. He wore simple clothes and carried a bag over his shoulder. His dark hair moved in the wind. He looked small and weak compared to many species Taemin had studied. Hyunwoo walked into the forest. The surveillance drone followed silently, invisible to human technology. Taemin watched the human move between the trees with easy steps. The forest was full of dangers. Taemin had cataloged them all. Wild boars, venomous snakes, and the apex predator of this region, the mountain tiger. Mountain tigers were massive creatures. They weighed more than the human. Their teeth could crush bone. Their claws could tear through flesh. Every logical species in the galaxy would avoid such predators or destroy them from a safe distance. The drone's sensors detected something ahead. Movement in the bushes. Taemin leaned closer to the screen. His heart rate increased. This was going to be interesting data. Hyunwoo stopped walking. He had heard something too. Smart, Taemin thought. The human would retreat now. Self-preservation was the first law of survival. But Hyunwoo didn't retreat. He moved forward slowly. He pushed aside a branch and looked down at the ground. The tiger lay there, unable to stand. Its back leg was twisted at a wrong angle, broken. Deep wounds covered its side, infected and oozing. The predator's breathing was shallow. It was dying. Taemin's hand hovered over the alert button. This was it, the moment the human would show his true nature. Would he kill the predator while it was weak? Would he run? Both responses were logical. Hyunwoo did neither. The human knelt down slowly. The tiger's eyes opened, yellow and full of pain. It tried to growl, but the sound was weak. The predator couldn't defend itself. Perfect prey by galactic standards. Taemin watched as Hyunwoo opened his bag. He expected to see a weapon. Instead, the human pulled out medical supplies, bandages, strange bottles. "Metal instruments, what are you doing?" Taemin whispered to the empty observation room. Hyunwoo spoke to the tiger. The translator picked up his words. "It's okay. I know you're scared. I'm going to help you." Help? The word made no sense in this context. Helping implied cooperation between equals or care for one's own species. This was a predator, an enemy, a threat. The human pulled out a device and pressed it against the tiger's neck. The predator's eyes slowly closed. Sedation, Taemin realized. The human had made the predator sleep instead of killing it. For the next 2 hours, Taemin watched something he had never seen in all his years of studying alien species. Hyunwoo cleaned the tiger's wounds. He straightened the broken leg carefully and wrapped it in a hard cast. He injected medicines into the predator's body. He poured water into its mouth. He covered it with a blanket from his bag. Another human arrived, a female. The database identified her as Ji-won, age 29, park ranger. She carried more supplies. How bad is it? Ji-won asked. Bad. The leg is broken in 2 places. The wounds are infected. Something attacked it, maybe another tiger. Without help, it will die in a few days. Ji-won knelt beside Hyunwoo. Can you save it? I can try. But it will take weeks. We'll need to come back every day. Feed it, change the bandages. Monitor the infection. That's dangerous. If it wakes up wrong, it could kill you. Hyunwoo nodded. I know, but what else can we do? Just leave it here to die in pain? Taemin's four eyes blinked rapidly. Yes, that was exactly what you do. That was what every logical species did. The weak died, the strong lived. This was nature. This was sense, but the humans stayed. They set up a shelter around the tiger. They left food and water. Hyunwoo checked the predator's breathing one more time before they left. I'll come back tomorrow morning, Hyunwoo said. Early, before it gets too hot. As the humans walked away, Taemin sat back in his chair. His mind tried to process what he had seen. It went against everything he knew about survival and evolution. He typed a report into the system. Human subject displayed irrational behavior. Subject provided medical care to apex predator that posed direct threat to subject's life. Behavior suggests mental deficiency or species-wide survival flaw. Recommend continued observation. He sent the report to Commander Ray Wan, his superior. Within minutes, a response came back. Noted. This is not the first such incident observed. Humans frequently engage in self-destructive helping behavior. They rescue drowning animals. They feed creatures that could harm them. They even keep small predators in their homes as companions. The council is debating whether this makes them weak or simply insane. Continue monitoring. Do not interfere. Taemin looked back at the screen. The tiger slept peacefully under the shelter, its breathing steady. The medicine was working. In all of Valoric history, no one had ever helped a predator. When predators appeared on their homeworld, they were eliminated immediately. Safety demanded it. Logic required it, but humans didn't follow logic. They followed something else. Something Taemin didn't have a word for in his language. He watched the sleeping predator through the night. Hyunwoo returned at dawn just as he promised. He brought fresh water and food. He changed the bandages. He spoke gently to the tiger even though it couldn't hear him. You're going to be okay. Just rest, let your body heal. I'll take care of you. Taemin created a new file in the database. He titled it The Human Paradox. In it, he wrote a single question that would haunt him for the coming weeks. Why would an intelligent species choose compassion over survival? He didn't know that this question would change everything the Galactic Council believed about intelligence, strength, and what it meant to be truly evolved. He didn't know that the answer would shake the foundations of galactic civilization. All he knew was that he couldn't stop watching. Something important was happening in that forest, something the galaxy had never seen before, and Taemin needed to understand it. Morning came to the Korean mountains with golden light filtering through the trees. Hyunwoo was already there, kneeling beside the sleeping tiger. Taemin had watched him arrive before sunrise, carrying fresh supplies and hot food in sealed containers. This was day 7 of observation. 7 days of the same routine. Hyunwoo came every morning and evening. Sometimes Ji-won came with him. Sometimes he came alone, but he always came. The tiger was awake now, but still weak. Its yellow eyes followed Hyunwoo's movements with less fear than before. The infection had decreased. The fever had broken. The broken leg was healing inside its cast. Hyunwoo opened a container of meat. The smell made the tiger's nose twitch. He placed the food close enough for the predator to reach but kept his hands back. The tiger ate slowly, its strength returning with each meal. Good, Hyunwoo said softly. You're eating better today. The antibiotics are working. In the observation station above, Commander Ray Wan stood behind Taemin's chair. The commander was older, with darker gray skin and 6 eyes instead of 4. He represented the traditional Valoric way of thinking, efficiency above all else. This is foolishness, Ray Wan said, his voice flat. The human wastes time and resources on a creature that will never appreciate the help. Worse, when the predator recovers, it may attack him. He is creating his own death. Taemin didn't look away from the screen, but he continues anyway. That's what interests me. He knows the risk. His species has data on tiger attacks. They have recorded deaths. Yet he chooses to help. Then his species is defective. They lack proper survival instincts. Or they have something we don't understand. Ray-Wan made a clicking sound of disapproval. There is nothing to understand. Survival is simple. The strong dominate. The weak perish. Helping a predator violates both rules. These humans are either stupid or suicidal. On the screen, Ji-won arrived with more materials. She and Hyunwoo began building something. A larger shelter. Better protection from rain and wind. Why did they do this? Ji-won asked as they worked. I mean, I know why we're helping this tiger. But why do humans always help animals? My grandmother used to feed stray cats every day. My brother rescues injured birds. We spend millions on wildlife conservation. Why? Hyunwoo hammered a nail into wood before answering. Because we can. Because we have the ability to reduce suffering. So we have the responsibility to do it. At least that's how I see it. Even when it's dangerous. Even when the animal might never know we helped. Especially then. That's when it matters most. When we help without expecting anything back. When we show kindness just because something is suffering. Taemin typed the words into his report. Kindness. The translator had given him that word, but his species had no exact equivalent. The closest Valoric word meant mercy shown to defeated enemies. But that wasn't what Hyunwoo meant. I want to review their history, Taemin said to Raewon. Their relationship with predators. The commander waved a hand. Waste of time. But proceed if you must. Taemin dove into the human database his drones had compiled. What he found made his four eyes widen in shock. Thousands of years ago, humans had encountered wolves, deadly pack predators. Logic said humans should have exterminated them. Instead, humans had somehow befriended them, turned them into companions. The database called them dogs now, and humans loved them, kept them in their homes, played with them, let them near their children, cats too, small predators with sharp claws and hunting instincts. Humans invited them into their lives, fed them, cared for them, horses, large, powerful animals that could easily kill a human with a kick. Humans rode them, trusted them, the list went on. Humans had domesticated dozens of species that should have been threats. They built zoos to protect dangerous animals. They created wildlife reserves where predators roamed free. They passed laws to prevent extinction. This is insane, Taemin whispered. But even as he said it, he wondered if insane was the right word. On the Valoric homeworld, predators had been eliminated 3,000 years ago. Every dangerous creature was hunted to extinction in the name of safety. The Valorics lived in cities of perfect order. No chaos, no danger, no wildlife except for the small creatures they farmed for food. It was logical. It was safe. It was empty. Taemin pushed the thought away. He was starting to think like a human, and that was dangerous. Weeks passed. Taemin watched Hyunwoo's daily visits like they were the most important events in the galaxy. Maybe they were. The tiger grew stronger. It could stand now, though it limped on the healing leg. It no longer growled when Hyunwoo approached. Something had changed between the human and the predator. Not friendship exactly, but understanding. Respect. Look at this, Taemin said one day, pulling up footage for Raewon. The tiger waits for him now. It recognizes his scent. Watch its body language when Hyunwoo arrives. The commander watched in silence as the tiger's ears perked up at the sound of footsteps. When Hyunwoo came into view, the predator's tail moved slightly. Not a threat display. Something else. The predator is pleased to see him, Raewon said slowly.
How is that possible?
Because Hyunwoo showed it something beyond survival instinct. He showed it care, compassion, and somehow the predator understands. Raewon was quiet for a long time. Then he said, perhaps these humans are not weak. Perhaps they are terrifying. What do you mean? Think about it, Taemin. They can turn predators into companions. They can inspire loyalty in creatures that should be their enemies. What could they do to other intelligent species? What if they showed us the same kindness they show to that tiger? The thought sent a chill through Taemin's body. What would happen if humans showed the galaxy their brand of compassion? What would happen to species like the Valorics who had forgotten how to care for anything beyond themselves? On Earth, Jiwon brought a small medical device to check the tiger's healing. Another week, maybe 2, and we can release it. The leg is almost fully healed. Hyunwoo nodded, but he looked sad. I know it needs to go back to the wild. But I'll miss this. These quiet moments. You say that about every animal you help. Remember the hawk with the broken wing? You cried when we released it. I'm a professional, Hyunwoo said, smiling. Professionals can cry. They both laughed. The tiger watched them with calm eyes as if it understood the joke. Taemin saved the video clip. He titled it Laughter in the Presence of Death, because that's what the tiger represented, death, danger, the end of safety. Yet these humans laughed beside it. He compiled his reports and sent them to the full Galactic Council. He included videos, data analysis, historical context. He ended with a single conclusion. Humanity does not help the tiger despite its nature as a predator. They help it because of their nature as humans. This behavior is not an anomaly. It is fundamental to their species. Recommendation: extreme caution in future contact. A species that shows compassion to predators is either too naive to survive or too powerful to understand. Further observation required to determine which. The Council's response came quickly. They would continue watching. They would test humanity before revealing themselves. Because the galaxy needed to know, were humans the universe's greatest fools or its greatest hope? In the Korean mountains, Hyunwoo sat beside a healing tiger and wondered nothing about the stars above. He only thought about the life in front of him and how he could help it survive another day. That simple thought echoed across space to an observation station where an alien named Taemin was learning that the universe was larger and stranger than he ever imagined. The morning air was cool and fresh when Hyunwoo and Jiwon arrived at the shelter for the last time. 6 weeks had passed since that first day. 6 weeks of daily care, of watching the tiger slowly return to health. Now it was time to say goodbye. Taemin had every drone focused on this moment. Commander Ray Wan stood beside him in the observation station. Other council members watched from their distant worlds. This release would determine much about humanity's future. The tiger stood inside the shelter, fully healed. Its leg was strong again. The wounds were closed, leaving only faint scars under the fur. It was a magnificent predator once more, powerful and dangerous. Hyunwoo opened his equipment bag and pulled out a small device. Sedative, he explained to Jiwon. Just enough to keep it calm during transport. We'll take it back to its territory and let it wake up there. Are you sure about the location? Jiwon asked. We tracked its movements before the injury. That valley is where it hunted. Yes, it needs familiar ground, familiar prey. This tiger has been away from its territory too long. Other predators might have moved in. They approached the tiger carefully. It watched them with those yellow eyes, calm but alert. When Hyunwoo pressed the sedative injector against its neck, the tiger didn't fight. It simply let out a low breath and slowly laid down. It trusts you, Jiwon whispered. A wild tiger trusts you. Hyunwoo stroked the tiger's head gently. Trust is earned. We showed up every day. We kept our promises. Animals understand that better than most people think. They loaded the sleeping tiger into a special transport container, one with padding and air holes. The journey to the release site took 2 hours by vehicle, deep into the mountain wilderness where humans rarely went. Taemin watched it all. His fingers moved across his console, recording every detail. This was the critical moment. What would happen when predator and human met one final time? In Valoric history, there were no stories like this. Valorics didn't release predators. They didn't heal them and set them free. The very concept was alien, impossible, wrong. But humans did impossible things. The vehicle stopped in a clearing surrounded by tall trees. A stream ran nearby. Birds sang in the branches. This was good hunting territory, rich with prey. Hyunwoo and Jiwon carefully moved the container from the vehicle. They opened it slowly and stepped back, giving the tiger space. The sedative was wearing off. The tiger's eyes opened. It lifted its head, taking in the familiar sense of its home territory. Its ears rotated, catching sounds it recognized. This is it, Hyunwoo said quietly. Go home, be safe. The tiger stood slowly, testing its healed leg. It took one step, then another. The leg held strong. The tiger walked to the edge of the container and jumped down to the forest floor with easy grace. Every council observer held their breath. This was the moment of truth. The tiger stood 5 meters from Hyunwoo. A perfect striking distance. It was healthy, strong, and free. If it wanted to attack, nothing could stop it. Instead, the tiger turned its head and looked directly at Hyunwoo. Their eyes met. Human and predator, prey and hunter. The tiger sat down. Oh, Jiwon breathed. Oh, it's saying thank you. The tiger remained sitting for a long moment. Just looking. Just being present. Then it stood, turned slowly, and walked into the forest. Its orange and black stripes blended into the shadows between the trees. Within seconds, it was gone, as if it had never been there at all. Hyunwoo stood very still. Jiwon saw tears on his face. Are you okay? She asked. Yeah, I'm going to miss it. Is that stupid? No, it's human. They packed up their equipment and started back to the vehicle. As they walked, a young family appeared on the trail. A mother, father, and a small girl who looked about 7 years old. The little girl's name was Bora. She carried a small backpack with cartoon animals on it. When she saw Hyunwoo's park ranger uniform, her eyes went wide. "Mommy, look, a ranger." The mother smiled apologetically. Sorry, she loves animals. She wants to be a veterinarian when she grows up. Hyunwoo knelt down to Bora's level. That's wonderful. The world needs good veterinarians. Did you help an animal today? Bora asked. What kind? Was it sick? I helped a tiger. It had a broken leg, but it's all better now. I just released it back into the forest. Bora's mouth fell open. A real tiger? A big one? Very big. Will it remember you? Will it remember that you were nice to it? Hyunwoo thought about the way the tiger had looked at him before leaving, that long, quiet moment of connection. Maybe. Animals are smarter than people think. They remember kindness. I'm going to be kind to animals too, Bora declared. Just like you. After the family left, Jiwon smiled at Hyunwoo. You're inspiring the next generation. I hope so. The world needs more people who care about wildlife. In the observation station, Taemin saved the footage of the tiger's release. He played it again and again, focusing on that moment when the tiger sat and looked at Hyunwoo. It remembered, Taemin said to Commander Raewon. The predator remembered the care it received. It chose not to attack. It chose to acknowledge the human before leaving. Raewon's 6 eyes blinked slowly. This changes our assessment. The humans didn't just help a predator. They created a bond with it. A connection that transcended survival instinct. It's more than that, Taemin said. He pulled up the footage of little Bora. Look at this child. She wants to follow Hyunwoo's example. This behavior is taught, passed from generation to generation. It's cultural. It's deep in their society. They raise their young to show kindness to predators. They raise their young to show kindness to everything. To all creatures. To all life. A council member spoke through the communication channel. Her species had scales and spoke in musical tones. This is either enlightened or insane. I cannot determine which. Another voice from a mechanical species that lived in artificial bodies. If they show this compassion to animals, what would they show to us? To other intelligent species? That was the question that made everyone pause. Taemin thought about it carefully before responding. I think humans don't separate life into categories the way we do. We see predator and prey, useful and useless, dangerous and safe. But humans seem to see something else. They see beings that can suffer, and when they see suffering, they feel compelled to stop it. Even at risk to themselves? The scaled council member asked. Especially then. Commander Raewon pulled up the file on human history. Wars, conflicts, violence. Humans could be brutal, but scattered throughout that violent history were stories of compassion, soldiers showing mercy to enemies, people hiding refugees at great personal risk, strangers helping strangers for no reward. They contain contradictions, Raewon said. They can be both violent and kind, both logical and emotional, both practical and idealistic. They're complex, Taemin agreed. More complex than any species we've encountered. The council debated for hours. Some wanted to make contact immediately. Others wanted to continue observing. A few wanted to avoid Earth entirely, fearing a species that could turn predators into companions. Finally, they reached a decision. They would test humanity one more time, but this time the test would be on a galactic scale. They would see if humans showed the same compassion to alien life as they showed to Earth's animals. On Earth, Hyunwoo returned to his wildlife station. He filled out paperwork about the tiger's release. He marked the case as successfully completed. Then he saw a new message on his computer. Another injured animal had been reported. A deer hit by a vehicle. Broken ribs. Internal bleeding. Hyunwoo grabbed his medical bag and headed for the door. Jiwon called after him. Don't you want to rest first? You've been working for weeks. The deer can't wait. Rest can. He drove off into the mountains ready to help another creature in need. Above him, invisible eyes watched and wondered. The galaxy was about to meet humanity, and nothing would ever be the same. 6 months had passed since the tiger's release. Hyunwoo's story had spread across Earth's conservation networks. News articles called him a hero. Environmental groups used his work as inspiration. Videos of his daily care for the tiger had millions of views online. But Hyunwoo continued his simple work in the mountains, helping one animal at a time. He didn't know that his actions had been watched by beings from distant stars. He didn't know that the entire galaxy was debating humanity's place among the stars. Above Earth, beyond where human telescopes could see, The Galactic Council prepared their test. Dalnim floated in the command chair of humanity's first faster-than-light exploration vessel. She was a Korean astronaut, the first to lead a deep space mission. Her crew of 12 represented 6 different nations, all working together to explore the space beyond their solar system. The ship was called Hope's Journey. It had been in space for 3 weeks, testing new propulsion systems and mapping nearby star systems. Everything had gone smoothly until the emergency signal appeared. "Captain, I'm picking up a distress call," said the communications officer, a young man named Ho Jun. "Unknown origin. Unknown language. But the pattern is clearly a call for help." Dalnim studied the data on her screen. The signal came from a damaged vessel about 4 hours away at their current speed. Scans showed the ship was leaking atmosphere. Power systems were failing, and there were life signs aboard. "Can you translate the language?" Dalnim asked. "Negative. It's nothing in our database. This is definitely not human technology." The crew fell silent. Everyone understood what this meant. First contact, the moment humanity had dreamed about for centuries, but it was happening in the worst possible way. Dalnim opened a channel to Earth Command. The delay was significant at this distance, but she needed guidance. While she waited for a response, she studied the alien vessel. It looked nothing like human ships. Organic curves instead of straight lines, strange energy signatures, no visible weapons, but that didn't mean it was safe. "What do we do, Captain?" asked Minsu, the ship's doctor. "They're dying. That much is clear from the biosigns." "We wait for Earth Command's orders," Dalnim said, but her hands gripped the armrests tightly. In the observation station hidden nearby, Taemin and Commander Raywan watched everything. The distress call was fake. The damaged ship was a council probe, automated and empty despite the false life signs. But Dalnim and her crew didn't know that. This was the test. Would humans help unknown aliens the same way they helped animals? Or would fear and caution override their compassion? "They're smart to wait for orders," Raywan noted, showing proper military discipline. "But look at their body language," Taemin said. "They want to help. They're struggling with the weight." On Hope's Journey, Earth Command's response finally arrived. The voice of Admiral Park, head of the space program, crackled through the speakers. "Captain Dalnim, this is an unprecedented situation. The alien vessel could be a trap. It could contain hostile forces or dangerous pathogens. It could be bait to capture human technology. Command strongly recommends you maintain distance and continue with your original mission. We're sending a military vessel to investigate, but it won't arrive for 3 days. Do you understand?" Dalnim closed her eyes. 3 days. The alien ship would be dead in 3 days. Everyone aboard would suffocate or freeze. "I understand, Admiral, but I'm requesting permission to approach. We have safety protocols. We have containment procedures. And we have a medical bay." "Permission denied, Captain. The risk is too great. These orders come from the highest levels. Return to your mission." The channel closed. Dalnim sat in silence for a long moment. Her crew waited, watching her face. Finally, she spoke. "Ho-jun, pull up the video files. The ones about that park ranger. What was his name?" "Hyunwoo, Captain. The one who saved the tiger." "Yes, play it." The main screen showed Hyunwoo kneeling beside the injured tiger 6 months ago. They watched him work, saw him return day after day, saw him risk his life for a predator that could have killed him. When the video ended, Dalnim stood up. That tiger could have been a threat. It could have attacked. Hyunwoo didn't know if it would appreciate his help or even survive. But he helped anyway because something was suffering and he had the ability to stop that suffering. She looked at each crew member. "We're trained professionals. We have protocols. We have the ability to help. And something out there is dying. How is this different from Hyunwoo and the tiger?" Minsu spoke first. "It's not different. We should help." One by one, the other crew members nodded. Ho-jun said, "Earth Command gave you an order, Captain. If you disobey, they'll court-martial you." "I know, but I didn't become an astronaut to abandon people in danger, even if those people aren't human." "Helm, set course for the alien vessel. Maximum speed." "Yes, Captain." In the observation station, the council chamber erupted in discussion. Voices from dozens of species speaking dozens of languages, all talking at once. They're disobeying direct orders. This proves they're reckless. Or brave. There's a difference. They don't even know if the species is hostile. Taemin felt something strange in his chest. Pride, excitement? He wasn't sure. He only knew that humanity had just passed the first part of the test, but the real test was still coming. Hope's journey approached the alien vessel slowly. Dalneem had her crew suited up in full protective gear. They carried medical supplies and emergency patches for the hull breach. Life signs are critical, Ho-Jun reported. We have maybe 30 minutes before complete system failure. Then we work fast. Minsu, take a team and board that ship. Find the survivors. Get them stable. But if anything seems dangerous, anything at all, you abort immediately. Understood? Understood, Captain. The boarding party crossed through the airlock. The alien ship's interior was strange. Walls that seemed to pulse like living tissue. Lights that flickered in colors human eyes had never seen. And at the center, in a chamber that might have been a bridge, they found 3 aliens. They were nothing like humans expected. Tall and thin, with skin that shifted between blue and purple. 4 arms, 3 eyes. They wore suits that were clearly designed for a different atmosphere. One of them was conscious. It saw the humans and tried to speak, but the words were incomprehensible. Then it did something unexpected. It pointed to its wounded companions and made a gesture that looked like pleading. Minsu understood. It's asking us to help them, not to save itself first, to help the others. The human medical team went to work. They didn't know alien biology, but trauma was trauma in any species. Bleeding had to be stopped. Breathing had to be maintained. They used human equipment on alien bodies and hoped it would work. After 20 minutes of desperate work, all 3 aliens were stable. Their ship was still dying, but the crew was alive. Dalneem made the call. Bring them aboard Hope's journey. We'll keep them in isolation until we understand their biology better, but we can't leave them on that wreck. As the aliens were transferred to the human ship, Taman stood in the observation station with tears in his 4 eyes. The liquid surprised him. Velerix didn't cry, but he couldn't help it. They did it, he whispered. They saw beings in distress, unknown beings, potentially dangerous beings, and they helped anyway. Commander Raywan's voice was rough with emotion. They risked their careers, their lives, their ship, for strangers they've never seen before, for species they know nothing about. It's not mercy, Taman said, repeating words he'd heard Hyunwoo speak months ago. Mercy is when you're stronger and choose not to harm. This is kindness. They see suffering and they must respond. It doesn't matter if it's logical. It doesn't matter if it's safe. They simply must help. A council member spoke through the channel. The test is complete. We have our answer. Humanity's compassion is not limited to their own species or even to Earth. It's universal. They will show kindness to any being that suffers. Another voice. This makes them dangerous. No, Taman said firmly. This makes them dangerous to cruelty and hate, not to life itself. There's a difference. Commander Raywan touched the control panel. End the test. Deactivate the probe. It's time we stopped observing and started talking. Are you sure? Someone asked. Once we make contact, we can't take it back. I'm sure. Because if we don't contact them, someone else will. And I'd rather the galaxy met humanity through kindness than through war. Prepare the first contact protocols. It's time Earth learned they're not alone in the universe. On Hope's journey, Dalneem sat with the 3 recovering aliens. They couldn't speak the same language yet, but the aliens kept touching their chests and then pointing at Dalneem and her crew. The gesture was clear across species. Thank you. Dalneem smiled and touched her own chest, then pointed back at them. She didn't need words to communicate the message. You're welcome. You're safe now. Above them, invisible to human sensors, the Galactic Council watched and prepared to change everything humanity thought they knew about the universe. The message arrived at Earth Command 3 days after Dalneem's rescue of the alien crew. It came in every language humans had ever spoken, transmitted on every frequency impossible to miss. People of Earth, we are the Galactic Council. We have been watching you. We come in peace. We wish to meet. The world stopped. Every news channel showed the same message. Every screen displayed the alien transmission. Humanity held its breath. Within a week, arrangements were made. The meeting would take place at a neutral location, the space station humanity had built at the edge of their solar system. Representatives from Earth would meet representatives from the stars. Dalneem was chosen to represent humanity's space program. But she had requested one other person to join the delegation. When Earth Command asked why, she said simply, because he showed us the way. That's how Hyunwoo, a simple wildlife veterinarian from the Korean mountains, found himself on a shuttle heading to meet alien ambassadors. Ji-won sat beside him, equally bewildered. "I work with tigers," Hyunwoo said for the 10th time. "Why am I here?" "Because of what you did for that tiger," Dalnim explained. "When I had to decide whether to help those aliens, I thought of you. You showed that kindness doesn't require understanding. It doesn't require knowing if you'll be thanked. It just requires seeing suffering and choosing to help." The space station conference room was designed for this moment. One side for humans, one side for aliens. Neutral ground between stars. When the alien delegation arrived, Hyunwoo saw creatures he never imagined possible. Taemin was there, his gray skin and 4 eyes making several human delegates uncomfortable. Commander Raewon stood beside him, imposing and serious. But there were others too. The scaled species that spoke in musical tones, the mechanical beings in artificial bodies, creatures with wings, with tentacles, with forms that defied human categories. All of them had been watching Earth. All of them had questions about humanity. Taemin stepped forward. His voice came through a translation device. "Thank you for meeting with us. We know this must be shocking. We apologize for observing you without your knowledge, but the Council has protocols for discovering new intelligent species." The human delegation's leader, Ambassador Chang Ho, nodded carefully. "We understand caution. We would likely do the same, but why reveal yourselves now?" "Because you passed our test," Commander Raewon said. "And because one of your number asked to meet someone." Taemin's 4 eyes focused on Hyunwoo. "You are the one who saved the predator." "The tiger." Hyunwoo felt everyone's eyes on him. Yes, I'm a veterinarian." "It's my job." "No," Taemin said softly. "It was more than a job. We watched you. Every day for 6 weeks. You risked your life repeatedly. You expected nothing in return. You showed that tiger something my species doesn't have a word for." He walked closer to Hyunwoo. "I need to understand. Why did you help it? The tiger could have killed you. It would never understand what you did. You gained nothing from saving it, so why?" Hyunwoo looked at this alien being asking him a question he'd never really thought about. He answered from his heart. "Because it was hurt. Because I could help. What else would I do? Leave it there to suffer? Leave it there to die? That's not right." "Right," Taemin repeated. "You have a moral sense that extends beyond your own species. Beyond your own safety. Doesn't everyone?" The silence that followed was heavy. Finally, Commander Raewon spoke. "No, most species in the galaxy do not. We operate on efficiency, on survival, on logic. My people eliminated all predators from our world 3,000 years ago. We saw them as threats, so we destroyed them." Ji-won gasped. "All of them? Every predator species?" "Everyone. It was logical. It was safe. It was—" Raewon paused. "It was wrong. But we didn't know that until we watched you." Taemin pulled up a holographic display. It showed the video of Hyunwoo treating the tiger. "This moment changed how we see the universe. You humans do something we thought was impossible. You show kindness to things that could harm you. You help without expecting reward. You save lives that will never know they were saved." Ambassador Chang Ho leaned forward. "You've been studying us. What else have you learned?" A scaled alien spoke, her voice like wind chimes through the translator. "We learned that you turned wolves into companions, that you protect endangered species, that you create sanctuaries for animals you will never personally benefit from, that you teach your children to care for all life." The mechanical alien added, "We learned that Captain Dalnim disobeyed direct orders to save beings she had never met, that she risked everything for unknown aliens. We learned that this behavior is not rare among humans. It is common. It is cultural. We learned," Taemin said quietly, "that you are either the universe's greatest fools or its greatest hope. Which do you think we are?" Dalnim asked. "Hope. Definitely hope." The meeting continued for hours. The Council explained their civilization, thousands of species across the galaxy, advanced technology, ancient wisdom, but all of it built on the foundation of survival and efficiency. "We have peace," Raewon said, "but it is the peace of distance and indifference. Species avoid each other. We cooperate when necessary but maintain separation. There is order, but there is no warmth. No kindness," Taemin added. "We have mercy for defeated enemies. We have respect for strong allies. But kindness? That word barely exists in our languages. We didn't understand it until we watched you, G1 spoke up. But surely you care for your own people? Your families? Yes, within species we have bonds. We protect our young. We cooperate with our own kind. But between species, across the divide of different evolution, no, we remain separate. Hyunwoo thought about the tiger, about how it had looked at him before returning to the forest, about little Bora who wanted to be kind to animals, about Dalneem risking her career to save alien lives. We learned something too, he said. On Earth, we learned that cruelty cost us our humanity. Every time we're cruel, we lose part of ourselves. But every time we're kind, even when it's hard, even when it's dangerous, we remember who we are. Who are you? Taemin asked. What are humans, in your own words? Hyunwoo smiled. We're the species that couldn't leave the wolf alone in the cold. We're the species that saw predators and thought, what if we were friends? We're the species that looks at suffering and feels it in our own hearts. We're not always good. We have wars. We have cruelty. But we also have this need to help, to heal, to show kindness even when it makes no sense. Especially when it makes no sense, Dalneem added. That's when it matters most. Ambassador Chang Ho addressed the council. You said we passed your test. What happens now? Commander Ray Wan gestured to the holographic display. It showed a map of the galaxy with thousands of stars marked. Now we invite you to join the Galactic Council. But not as students or subordinates. As teachers. Teachers? Chang Ho repeated. You have something the galaxy has forgotten or never learned. You have the ability to care across the boundaries of species, to show compassion without calculation, to be kind without reason. The galaxy needs this. We need this. A three-eyed alien from a species called the Morvath spoke. Our worlds are efficient but empty. We have eliminated chaos but also joy. We have created order but lost connection. Perhaps humans can show us a different way. Taemin approached Hyunwoo again. May I ask one more question? Of course. The tiger you saved. Did it ever come back? Did it ever show gratitude? Hyunwoo's eyes softened. Yes, actually. I see it sometimes watching from the forest when I'm working. It never approaches, but it watches. Like it's checking that I'm okay. G1 thinks I'm crazy, but I believe it remembers. It remembers, Taemin said with certainty. Because kindness is memorable. It stands out in a universe that usually operates on harsher principles. G1 pulled up her tablet. I have to show you something. She displayed a video from last week. Hyunwoo working at the reserve, bandaging an injured deer. In the background, barely visible between the trees, a tiger watched. The same tiger, keeping guard while the human who saved it helped another creature. The alien delegates watched in silence. Several made sounds that the translators couldn't properly convey, but the emotion was clear. Wonder, hope, maybe a little bit of tears. This is what we want, the Morvath delegate said. Connection across impossible divides. Trust where there should be fear. This is what we've lost or never had. The negotiations continued over the following weeks. Earth was welcomed into the Galactic Council, not as the newest or weakest member, but as honored guests. Teachers of a forgotten art. Hyunwoo returned to his mountains, to his wildlife reserve, to his simple work of healing injured animals. But now he knew that same work, that same philosophy was spreading across the stars. One evening, as the sun set over the Korean mountains, Hyunwoo sat outside his station with a cup of tea. Ji-won sat beside him. Do you think it'll work? She asked. Can we really teach the galaxy about kindness? I don't know, but we can show them, one animal at a time, one rescue at a time, one moment of compassion at a time. Movement in the tree line caught his eye. The tiger stood there watching. Their eyes met across the distance. The predator that should have been his enemy, the creature he chose to save. The tiger turned and disappeared into the shadows. But Hyunwoo knew it would be back.